Houston Real Estate Radio.
Welcome back to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shannon Register, and we are really excited today to have Dr. Jim Gaines joining us from Texas A&M University at the Real Estate Research Center. Always great to have you on. You've given us some great information, and just want to wrap up our segment by talking about housing and a few more of the things going on that affect the Houston area. So welcome back.
Thank you.
So you go ahead and tell us what you think is what's going on in our housing market. Obviously, rental rates are up, and lots of housing sales going on even into the fall, which normally they taper off significantly. So go ahead and give us your take on what's going on.
Well, you just hit on several of them. First of all, on the single-family market, you're right. Generally, there's a big fall-off, or a reasonably good fall-off from June, July sales because of the school starting up in August and so forth. But August and even on into September, sales have been holding up very, very well. September sales were up, August sales were up 15% more than last year. The September sales are still looking very good. Annual sales are up considerably on a year-to-date basis. In fact, more than my forecast for this area. I'm going to come out and look too conservative. It's going to be better than what I had thought it was going to do.
Well, that's good. That's good
Which
news.
is good news. And in fact, leading up to that too, even the home builders are doing much, much better this year. I think home building is going to be up 20% or more over last year. Now, granted, our home building has been down for the last 4 or 5 years. To very low numbers relative to our what we've typically seen here in the Houston area. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, that trend is now back up on the other side, and the home builders are saying, you know, we've got enough demand out here in the market that we can start building houses again. They're still faced with the issue of buyers being able to qualify for loans and being able to get the loans to buy the product, mm-hmm. but they're even finding ways to do that as well. So yeah, all is looking well. The rental market is up, multifamily, and of course that shadow single-family rental market. We're getting asked more and more questions at the Real Estate Center about that, and we don't honestly have a whole lot of hard data. I wish I had more about that, but it's very real.
You know, I hear a lot of people from different communities saying, you know, we know this house went into foreclosure 5 months ago, and it's still sitting there. The grass is still needing to be cut. You know, no one's visiting it. Nothing's happening. What's going on with it? And you know that is kind of a question. Why it's been foreclosed on? Why aren't they putting it with a real estate agent and getting it sold? That's part of that shadow inventory.
It is part of the shadow inventory. We don't have a good count on that either. All you can do is look at delinquencies and defaults and REO numbers that are put out by people like Realty Track and so on. Mm-hmm. And I have heard the same stories. And the only answer that I have for it, first off, I would say I agree with you completely. It doesn't make any sense in Houston market. Mm-hmm. And this is true most throughout Texas and our other markets as well, for the lenders to be sitting on large inventories of REO, mm-hmm. because the markets are really strong enough to absorb them, either by owner occupants or the investment market that will buy them and convert them into rentals. But the banks are losing money every month that those properties are sitting on their books. Mm-hmm. And like you say, they're not taking care of them. And nothing will lower the value of a property quicker than to be left empty for a long time and deteriorate. So it's not in their best interest. What I am being told by the banks on the other side is that, there's our national headquarters have told us we're not going to do it this way and hold back and so forth. And I think also some of the institutions look at their portfolio of REO, and if it's concentrated in a subdivision, they don't want to dump them all in that one subdivision at once and hurt that subdivision. So in that sense, it's not a bad thing.
Right. Yeah, it just, you know, in our market, our inventory is low, and we do have a lot of demand for housing right now. And we've had clients who have been working with our agents for a couple months going, I'm still waiting for that one house I want to come back on the market. And it just hasn't come back on the market. And they want that house. I mean, there's a demand for it.
Absolutely. And in fact, the current inventory for sale on the listing service is down 20% from last year. So it's adding to what you're saying. Home builders aren't building as many houses spec, so that's not getting added to inventory. The REOs are being held back, and the number of foreclosures are down anyway. So that's not adding to inventory. And then I think we talked about this. I think the last time I was on, a lot of people who might want to sell right now are they're still waiting to see those prices creep back up a little more, because they want to move up or move over or do this or do that, and they've decided that they need a certain price, and the price levels haven't gotten there. Now the good news is the prices are moving that way too. My price estimate for Houston is probably going to be conservative for the year as well, because median home prices are moving up at a good clip.
Right now, I'm recommending to sellers to sell. I mean, if they want to sell, I think it's a good time to sell in our area.
It's a good time to sell. It may not be optimal from their standpoint, in the sense that if I hold out another year or two, will prices be better? The only answer you can give then is maybe.
Yeah. No crystal ball.
It's not as definite. It's not absolutely for sure as much as you would think. And it's also an excellent time to buy. Interest rates are now at another historical low.
You think that's going to change?
Incidentally, they might go a little lower in the next few months. Over the next year or two, they'll probably creep up a few tens of basis points. We're not seeing any major movement in interest rates for a couple of years, but it's all attractive as long as you can qualify for a loan.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show with us today and taking the time to join us.
Well, we covered the waterfront, didn't we?
We did. I think we hit everything. So I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for joining us. Did you hear that Houston is the coolest city in America, according to Forbes magazine? Take a listen to this great clip that we found about our city. I think you're going to find it very interesting.
You mess with Texas. That's right. Don't mess with Texas.
Hey guys, this is Priya with Buzz 60. Texas, once known for the Georges, but now according to Forbes magazine, it has the coolest city in America, Houston, as in way down in Houston, Texas. The magazine based their coolness rankings using 7 factors, including recreational opportunities, outdoor green space, restaurants, not including chains, sorry Texas Roadhouse, and the number of professional sports teams. Luckily, that wasn't for the number of playoff appearances by each of those sports teams. The list also had the obvious big metro areas like LA, New York, and Chicago, and some surprising cool city contenders like Oakland, California, and Maryland got a twofer with the cities of Bethesda and Baltimore. Apparently, the city has come a long way since The Wire. But the Lone Star State got the big win with 5 cities on the list. Turns out Texas does have a lot to offer, including a majority of the country's billionaires. I think I know where the next Real Housewives is going to film. Buzz 60. Now you know, pass it on.
I'm Shannon Register. We'll be back next Sunday at 2 p.m. with more real estate news and information here on Houston Real Estate Radio.